On their long march to Helms Deep, the Elves of Lothlorien are ambushed by the forces of Isengard. Warg Riders, led by an unknown captain, seek to prevent them from reaching the embattled fortress. Will Haldir and his Galdhrim be able to break their way clear through? Find out now in this 400-point match play battle of the Middle-earth strategy battle game.
Hello and welcome to Striding Edge Games. We're your hosts. I'm Boris.
And I'm Julian.
Where are we, Jules?
We are, somewhere in between the Valley of Lothlorien, Forest of Lothlorien, and Isengard.
It's kind of Rohan, the top of Rohan.
Somewhere in, maybe like the edge of Rohan, something like that. We have a nice little fight for you today. We've got two armies, obviously.
Wolves of Isengard.
The Wolves of Isengard.
And just plain Lothlorien.
Yeah.
So
very plain.
Very plain. So it's a really easy matchup. So the Wolves of Saruman sent them off, go on a scouting mission. Some have gone west, some have gone east. These guys have gone east and have run into some elves. And you say they're probably the ones. These are the ones they've set off, led by Haldir, headed to Helms Deep.
Heading to Helms Deep
to reinforce.
And the Wolves of Isengard are being led by Barku. Who's Sharku's brother.
Yeah.
Because Sharku's dead now, but probably.
Oh, yeah, or maybe just at the same time.
Yeah, it just so happens he's really similar.
Yes.
They're like twins.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a 400-point match play game for you. We are playing Domination. Really simple. 5 objectives, 1 in the middle. We've placed the rest. And points for General and Broken. That's it. Really small little game, but almost exactly the same model count. 19, 20?
There are 23 elves and there are 20 riders.
Yeah, so...
Warg Riders.
Warg Riders. So there's a very similar model count, apart from the elves are quite a bit better individually. But on the charge, the Warg Riders
The Wargs are better on the charge, but the elves are superior in every way.
It'll be an interesting one because... the elves are just superior in every way. You've got a couple of little bows, the kind of pajama elf, wood elves with the bows.
Yeah, there's 6 bows. Haldir and the captain have a bow.
So there's 7 shots because Haldir
shoots twice.
The Warg Riders have a decent amount of throwing spears, no bows, so just throwing spears, which I think is probably a good call. My hunch is that the Warg Riders are going to struggle to capture the objectives at the late part of the game because
they'll be broken.
If they get broken,
they'll be running probably.
It's going to be difficult for them to stick around because there are 2 captains, so they have slightly better courage and some will, and Barku. But they might struggle to hold the objectives late game, but they have great mobility.
Really good mobility. So good ferocity as well.
Yeah, they can probably get around the board really well. It'll be really interesting. Hopefully, great little game. We've decided to do a little 400-pointer because we can record it a bit quicker and get it out to you guys. And it's sometimes the smaller point games are actually more interesting, more because of what you can't take. So, for example, your Lothlorien list doesn't have Haldir or
doesn't have
Celeborn or Galadriel.
Yeah, although you said
magic.
Yes,
sorry.
There's one extra wrinkle we've not mentioned, is both of these armies were painted by me.
Yep, they're both yours.
But we decided it would be fun. We have collaboratively deployed both armies.
Yep.
And now we're just going to roll off to see who's controlling what.
So we don't know. We're at the end of deployment, start of turn 1. We don't know who's playing which army. So as Jules said, we both agreed where. I'll show you some overview footage. We kind of both agreed what would... kind of deploy and counter-deploy, which side would have which. We both deployed the objectives. So one of us is going, because they're both your armies, one of us is going to play the Wargs and one of us is going to play the Elves. I'm not sure which one I...
would rather do.
I think the Elves... I've never played either as well. You've played both. You've painted both of these for events previously.
Not at this point level.
No, not at this point level, but these are from armies you've painted for events. So... do you have a preference? Well, Maybe tell me after the dice roll. So Julian's going to roll a dice, just like a roll off. 1 to 3, he'll play the evil side. 4 to 6, he will play the good side, and I will play whichever one you don't play. I'm going to record this for posterity. So we're going to roll the camera here. After you, sir.
Alrighty. And it is... Oh, I'm going to be the Warg.
2. Okay, so Julian is going to be playing Warg Riders. Now, which one did you... You're telling me...
I think actually, I mean, yeah, both of them. I think the Wargs might be... I have a sneaking suspicion it might be an uphill battle. But it'll be interesting to see.
Maybe.
Basically, it's whether they can build enough momentum early.
Yeah.
If they don't kill elves early, they'll just get ground down because the elves are just better.
See, I was almost in my head thinking I was going to play the Wargs because as a Rohan player, I'm more familiar with playing a cavalry mobile army. I've never played an elf gunline army. So if there are any critical mistakes that you spot at home, this is my first time. That's my excuse. And if I win, then, just natural skill. If I lose...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of an elf grinder army. So this is your first time...
That's
with grinder.
It is. That's it. I guess we'll go straight into... We've swapped these dice. We've got Isengard dice for the wolves, and we have some Fangorn dice because they're green and they've got a leaf on them for the elves. So we'll swap the dice round. Should we do first turn priority?
No, because first we have... The Warg Ambush.
Ignore me. Oh, there we go. See, I've never played either of these. So we'll just go straight into pre-turn 1.
Pre-turn 1.
And we have D6 Wargs moving
and shooting. They can't charge.
Can't charge, that's what. We'll go into the board overview, the army list overview, and we'll see you pre-turn 1 for the ambush. .400 points of Lothlorien in 2 warbands. There are 23 models with a breakpoint of 12. The relevant special rule for the army is that friendly Lothlorien models may reroll hit rolls of a 1 when making shooting attacks if the target is unable to see them due to the effects of their elven cloak. The first warband is led by Haldir with heavy armour, an elf bow and an elven cloak. He has 10 warriors, 4 Galdhrim warriors with shield, 4 Galdhrim warriors with spear. He then has 1 Galdhrim warrior with a banner. The second warband is led by a Galdhrim captain. He has 8 Galdhrim warriors, 4 with shield and sword, 4 with spear, and 2 Lothlorien warriors with elf bows.
.400 points of the Wolves of Isengard. It is 20 models, led by Sharku, and there are 3 warbands and a breakpoint of 11. For the special rules which are relevant for this army in this scenario, Sharku benefits from the Leader of the Pack special rule, which means he is allowed to call a free heroic combat every turn. Additionally, up to 50% of the army can have throwing spears. Finally, the Warg Scouts rule allows up to D6 of your warriors to make a free movement and a free shooting action before priority is rolled and the game begins. The first warband consists of Sharku on Warg. He's accompanied by 7 Warg Riders, all of whom have shields, 3 of which also have throwing spears. There is 1 additional wild Warg in the warband. The second warband is led by an Orc captain on Warg. He's accompanied by 6 Warg Riders, all with shields, 2 of whom have throwing spears, and a single wild Warg. The third warband is led by another Orc captain on wild Warg. He just has 2 Warg Riders with him with shields and throwing spears.
And into the pre-game. This is the deployment. The elves, jointly deployed, both of us, have sat back just a little bit because we both agreed they'd probably hedge their bets. They're next to 2 objectives for now, with a central one in this stone circle. And the Wargs, also relying on their ambush rule, 2 warbands, including Sharku, have gone right up to the line. And then a third, smaller warband is right over in this corner, just the captain and 2 Wargs on this objective to give themselves a bit of flexibility. We're going pre-priority roll into the ambush roll.
Before any priority rolls, we're going to go for the Wolves of Isengard special rule, which is the ambush they get to make at the start of the game. Up to D6 Warg Riders can move and shoot as if it was their moving and shooting phases. So if we get some good rolls here, we maybe can take some elves out before the game's even really started. Let's see how many it is. It's a big 6 there. We've got the white hand. So let's see where they're going to go. And then for the Warg's ambush move, eschewing any real subtlety, we're moving forwards with all of our throwing spears, and we're going to toss them into the general kind of elf line. With the 1 extra, because we only had 5 spears up in the front lines. We've got a lone warg who's just going to chance its luck. Now we're on to the shooting phase, or not the shooting phase, the extra shooting phase.
Pre-shooting phase.
Yeah, the pre-shooting phase. For our delicious pre-shooting phase, the 3 Warg Riders there, I'm going to shoot the elf that's got a spear, because the spear ones don't have a shield, and we'd be winning on 5s. Because they're orcs and we've moved, we're looking for 6s here, so we're just going to roll all 3 because, well, if this goes really well, then we might just have to roll the wounds over. But yeah, okay, 3 shots.
Ooh.
1 hit. We were very close.
It would have been 3 if you hadn't moved.
Yeah. And then we're looking for a 5. Oh, that was close. Now the other 2 throwing spears are going to go for the elf that's at the end of the line. He's exposed here. Again, we're looking for 6s. And we don't get anything. That's a shame. Priority.
Yeah, let's go straight on to priority. Good, roll a 4.
An evil get a 4. That's a reroll.
Yeah, after you this time.
A 5.
A 1. Okay, so your choice.
I think I will take priority.
Unsurprisingly.
And with priority 1, the Warg Riders are throwing caution to the wind and dogpiling the elves on this side. We've made a couple of risky charges, including one of the elves that's in woodland. And we're going to have a number of throwing spears, which for the sake of expedience, we're doing all at once. And then we might have to readjust slightly. And then on the rest of the board, we're just kind of hiding, hopefully maybe to control some objectives. Perhaps this mission will end real fast.
One way or another.
One way or another. So, for the shooting, so let's start with the orc on the warg that's charged the elf hidden in the woodland. This one we are looking for a 6 to hit still, because it's an elf wearing an elven cloak. But we get a 6. And because these ones are defense 3, it's a 4. Come on, 4. Nope, it's a 1. Next, we've got the rider that has charged the captain, looking for a 5. Nope, that's a miss. Now, there would have been 1 rider that's charged an elf without having to roll an in the way, so that's a miss. Then the one that's going to have to roll an in the way, he's a hit. Does he hit his friend or the elf? He hits his friend. Does he hit the warg or the rider? He hits the warg. The warg's a defense 4. So this is a 5. Fortunately, does not kill. And then on the other side, we've got 2 more throwing spears. One's gone round the back against a spearman. He misses. And then finally, we've got 1 more. That also misses. That was terrible.
Classic orc shooting there.
Classic orc shooting. Onto elven movement.
And into the elf movement. On this flank, there wasn't a lot to do. 2 models that hadn't been charged. This spearman right in the middle just moved to support the captain, so give him a 3rd attack. Hopefully win that fight. And there was 1 wood elf right on the edge here in the greenery. He's moved half just round to get a shot on these extra, even more wolves coming around the side. Then Haldir's warband has split up, which is always a good idea. Haldir's led a little group to the middle, this clearing. They can hop over, but it's difficult terrain, so they've stood still. Haldir's moved half to get some shots, maybe on this 1 warg here. A group of 3 have moved this way around the bush to go for these wargs, maybe in the rear. And 1 wood elf and a spear support have headed up here, because just around the other side of this statue is an objective. And I've left them as spear support in case wargs in the distance come hunting later in the game. We have a little bit of shooting, and then on to combats. First up is a wood elf shooting at a warg. 4s to hit as he moved. That is a 3, so nothing. And second, we have the group with Haldir. They're going to shoot at the Warg Rider just on the other side of the hedge. Starting with the Wood Elf, hitting on 4s. No, not on a 1. Being reminded, the Elven Cloak allows you to re-roll 1s, so that elf does get to re-roll. No, into a 3. And then Haldir, with his expert shot, fires twice at the same Warg. Oh, 2 hits. We'll choose with Sharpshooter to hit the Warg Rider. So 5s to kill. Yes. And on the Warg, no.
The rider is dead, but the dog might stick around. It's a courage 8 up, though. So, oh, yes, they love it. It's a double 6. Then we're on to the combat phase. Now, despite a lot of multi-charges, it's actually basically going to be a number of one-on-ones. We're going to just go in a little circle. So we'll start with the spear-wielding rider who's on the outside. He's versus 1 elf with a spear. So I've got 2 attacks, you've got 1 attack, but you have the fight 5. Shall I lead it off?
Go for it.
That's going to work.
Big 3. The elf gets a 5, unfortunately.
Elf wins.
Striking the rider, needing 5s. No.
Basically the same again. It's another Warg Rider versus 1 elf. We'll lead off again.
Still not two-handing for myself.
We're looking for the 6. Oh, 2 5s.
Double 5. Oh, 1.
Ooh,
okay.
1, and there's no banner in range. With that cavalry charge, we get to make 4 strikes to try and take down this elf. We are looking for 5s.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
Get
we've
it
got
twice.
That. Now we just have a lowly dog versus an elf with a 2-handed sword and a shield. No 2-handing. Okay, let's see if we get a 6. Oh, no, it's a 2.
2. The elf gets a 4. Needing 5s to kill still. Oh, we get a 6.
We now have the Warg Rider captain. He's charged just a normal elf.
Elf with a shield, so we are going to shield. I'll set the bar for you this time. We're going to get a 5 high. Is it good enough?
That's very annoying. We've got 3 attacks. We're looking for a 6.
Point of might.
Ooh, we'll spend a point of might. I don't really want to, but I think we need to get some elves off this board.
That's fair. So 6 strikes. Only
just killed him, but he is dead.
On this side of the combats, we have 3 elves versus 4 riders in a few different fights. First one, 1-on-1, I'm going to shield. Oh, only a 2
that's a
high.
Nice one. Only just beat it. Now we're looking for 5s to kill this elf. And we can't do it.
Same again, I'm going to shield again with the next elf. 5 high.
Oh, 5 high. We need a 6 here. No, we don't get it. So we lose that fight.
Then we have 2 wargs versus 1 poor spear-wielding elf without shield. We can't shield. I'm going to 2-hand. I'm going to go big.
Do it.
Oh, not quite. So that 4 goes down to a 3.
That's a 3 high. This might have killed you.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Single 5 on 8 dice. Can you do it?
Can we get a 5?
Yes.
Yes.
Only
but
twice.
Only twice. Now we've got a wood elf captain with a spear support versus this plucky rider who's charged in. I'll set the bar. I've got 2 attacks to your 3.
Yeah. I'm not going to 2-hand this time. I don't want to chance my luck.
Yep.
Set the bar.
That seems reasonable. Oh, I've got a 6.
Okay. The wood elf spear gets
a 2.
The captain's 2 attacks gets
Oh.
a 5. Okay, I'm going to have to spend one of his points of might to win that because I don't want to take 4 strikes and be knocked prone.
Yeah.
The spear support will strike the rider. Oh, nearly, not quite. And the captain, 1 at a time because it is different against the rider. No. And the second strike, no. Okay, that's nice and easy.
And for the last combat, we have the warg that charged the elf in the woods. Because of the woods, there is no charge bonus on this, so it was a bit of a risk, but we wanted to stop some moving on this side.
Yep.
You've got 1 attack. I have 1 attack.
Yeah, I'm not 2-handing. Let's just set a bar. A 4 high.
Oh, it's a 4 high.
Too bad.
Oh, it's a 3.
Better than a 3. And we will strike the rider. 5s. No, not on a 2. And that is the end of the turn. That was pretty rough. We lost 3 elves to 1 warg, not even a warg rider. The rest of the elves are coming in to the rescue, hopefully. But if we lose a few more move-offs, we might be in trouble. So a really key priority. The elves roll a big 5.
Okay, and the riders.
Oh,
no. We got that 6.
Okay, I presume you'll be keeping the priority?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we'll be looking at an elf heroic move. And as expected, start of the turn, the elf captain has spent his last point of might, second, And last, to call a move, it captures all of the elves in this little group, and we might just try and fall back onto the objective, castle up a bit. In return...
Yes, Sharku, who's on the periphery of the combat, is going to call a heroic move, saving that point of might in the middle. We only need to just get someone to charge that elf. Well, we also need to win the roll-off. But if we win the roll-off and we can charge the elf, then we're going to shut down this heroic move. Yeah. So, it's evil's priority.
Yeah, take it away.
1, 2, 3 is evil. Oh, when it goes good.
And with that great news, we've won the move off. The captain called with me and brought all the surviving elves, bar one, back into this difficult terrain. We're calling this sort of lichen difficult terrain. So any wargs that charge will lose their charge bonus, crucially. This one shield elf couldn't reach the terrain, so he's just run forward and tagged the captain and one warg just to sort of create a bit of a traffic jam. Crucially, domination and objective number 4 is just here. So we've got a few elves standing on the objective, and hopefully will be a bit of an anchor and wait just long enough for Haldir and his relief force to make it over.
And for our counter-heroic move, Sharku unfortunately doesn't have a charge because the wood elf was over 6 inches away and obscured by terrain, so he couldn't charge because of the elven cloak. He's moved up. A couple of the models that were within range of the heroic move have charged the elf, but their throwing spears did nothing, as is standard. The rest of the models in the move just kind of accompanied Sharku, and now... for the normal moves, one of the Warg Riders is charging the blocking elf and is going to throw a spear, see if he can take him out. Oh, it's a hit.
Okay.
Now, so does he hit the the single elf or the 2 other Warg Riders in the combat? Oh, he hits the elf.
Amazing.
So it's a strength 3 spear. He's defense 6 on this guy. We are looking for a 6. Come on. No, it's a 1.
The opposite.
And for the rest of the evil moves, we've taken charges where we can. A lot of them aren't going to be great because we're charging into the difficult terrain, but none of the elves here can countercharge because they've already moved. Then we've split off a few riders and a warg to tackle this little splinter group. And then we're leaving Haldir and his bros on their own. In the rest of the board... we're moving up on the objective. We've got a captain who's got some might that we really need in play, and we've got a dog who's just being a good boy.
And for what good movement there is, Haldir's just led his little group over the gap in the hedge here. We don't have any shots, so we're just pushing forward with everyone to try and help our beleaguered elves. Over here, this elf has stood still and might try and take a shot over there against the wargs, and the spear support has just moved to be in range of the objective. Breezing past the shooting phase, the one elf shot missed, and neither of us in the combat phase are calling any heroics, as there's only one orc captain in combat and no elf heroes, so straight into combats.
Right into the combat phase. We're going to start off with the breakaway group over here. We've got 2 1-on-1s and 1 2-on-1. We'll start with the warg versus a spearman. 1 attack from the warg. Oh, it's a 4.
And the spearman, a 3.
3.
Not enough.
You're not in the banner range. So without a trap there, we're looking for 5s. No, no wound. It's a 3. Now we have 2 riders versus a sword and board elf.
Yep, I will be shielding.
Okay,
Get the second
do you want to
dice.
see if you get a 6?
We do get a 6,
You do.
I'm afraid. Last combat over here, we have 1-on-1. The elf is feeling confident and will 2-hand strike with 1 dice.
I told you.
Okay. Yeah. Striking the rider, needing 4s. Yeah, kills the rider. Does the warg stick around?
Yeah, it's a courage check for the warg.
No.
And he's out of there. Now we have the captain and 2 riders versus the lone elf.
Yeah, the very brave elf who will bravely shield.
He will bravely shield.
Okay, gets the 6.
So, okay, great. So he's got a 6.
And as we found quite quickly, the elf outfights even an orc captain, so wins on fight 5. And on to the main sort of brawl by the tree. Bit hard to see, but there's a wood elf against 1 warg rider who's charged, but the warg rider has lost the charge bonus due to the difficult terrain. We will 2-hand with the elf. We're going to keep with it. No. Okay, so it goes to a 1.
That was a bad call.
So if you could roll a 1, that would be very polite of you.
Yeah, so the rider...
Oh, out the tray. Gets exciting.
And the rider...
Oh,
Yes, we get it on a 2.
Would have won it if I hadn't two-handed. So the Wood Elf is trapped, even without the cavalry bonus.
Yeah, and this is still 4s.
Yeah, from the Warg.
So we are
4.
strength 4.
Yep. There you go.
But you're out of there. Now we've got combat with... we had some discussion. Our very vague area terrain is kind of hard to say, but we felt that one of these elves wasn't sufficiently in, and it is this poor fellow.
Yeah.
So the Warg is going to get its charge bonus, so we get 2 attacks. You've been rolling 6s from the off, so I'm going to go first.
Yes, go for it.
Let's see. Oh, we got a 5 high.
5 high. We will shield with the elf. And we do
You
get
get
a
a
6.
6.
So backs away. Next, we have an elf who is in the difficult terrain, so has turned off the cavalry charge bonus. He is spear supported, so we're going to two-hand with the elf and spear support as normal. So the two-handing, 4, and the spear support, 1. Kind of want that the other way around, so it's a 3 high at the moment.
3 high. Let's see what we can do.
Ooh,
We can win it. And we're looking for 5s here to kill. Oh, and we got him. Right, and for the last combat, we have this lone out-of-place wood elf. Who is not safely within the bowels of the forest. So we've got 2 riders that charged him. We'll go first. We've got 4 attacks with our bonus. 5 high.
We won't be two-handing, obviously. We do get 5
high.
as well, so we do push you back, and we'll strike one of the riders. No, not on a 4. That is the end of the fight phase. Another rough one for the elves. We didn't kill very much. We've lost 5 to the wolves, only 2 dead, 2.5 with the dismount. Another huge priority, so 5 for the elves.
And
1. Okay, so we will be taking priority, unsurprisingly, and we'll go into the next turn. And start the turn, unsurprisingly. Evil have decided to call a move.
yeah, we're going to heroic move with the captain here. He's got 1 might left. We could have called it on Sharku, but he doesn't really have anywhere good to go. So we need to make some space so he can maybe get a charge. So this captain's going to call 1, and...
Yeah, in retaliation, Haldir is going to call with one of his first points of might. Catches just his group, but if he does charge, one of his group can make it to the captain to turn off the enemy heroic, and a couple can make it over to charge here, and we can start locking down a few of the wolves. So 1 to 3 evil, 4 to 6 good. Let's see what we can do. That is good. Okay, Haldir's move. And elf movement, most of the group has just charged straight forward to tag this 1 Warg Rider. Haldir's brought a few people with him, including the banner. 2 have run over here, tagged the Orc captain and turned his heroic move off. And we're sort of finally meeting up, as it were. We'll do the rest of the elf regular moves. And the rest of the regular moves, we've sallied out. Whether or not it's a good idea, we'll see. We've tagged almost every warg over here. There's a lot of 2-on-1s, so the elves are still outnumbered, but we've stopped a lot of wargs from moving. We've piled a lot on this 1 poor warg, maybe heroic combat coming in the future. And over here, we've just locked down 2 more. So there's a couple of wargs over here, including Sharku, but hopefully we've restricted movement quite a lot. And then finally over here, 3 elves have just tagged the 3 Warg Riders again. Hopefully we can win some fights and kill some wargs and start getting more kills than we've lost.
And for the evil moves, we think the gambit has failed. We haven't managed to take out enough elves quickly enough. So Sharku is going to exercise the better part of Valor and move away, leaving several of his brethren to get slaughtered. There's probably going to be some sort of cascading heroic combat that might be unpleasant. On the rest of the board, we're still sort of holding objectives and we're moving up. We're just trying to get in the good places before that inevitable breaking happens.
Shooting, the 1 elf took a pot shot at one of these Warg Riders. It hit, went through in the way, hit the Warg, and then failed to wound classically. Into the combat phase, we only have 1 hero in combat who has any might, Haldir, and he's going to spend his 2nd point of might calling heroic combat with this group of elves against 1 poor Warg Rider. Starting with Haldir's heroic combat, we have a wood elf, an elf with a sword, a spear support, Haldir, and a captain against 1 Warg Rider who hasn't charged.
With a banner reroll.
With a banner reroll. Do you want to set a bar and see what you can get? We will be two-handing on most of these.
We are looking for a sweet, sweet 6.
Okay, 4 high. We'll do the spear support, the two-hander a 1. The Wood Elf, who is also two-handing, goes down to a 4. Haldir gets the 6. Yeah, all good. Starting with the Elven Captain, 4s to kill the Warg and the Rider. Okay, we killed the Rider. And does the Warg run? He doesn't. Haldir's 2 strikes does kill the Warg, sadly. And with the combat successfully going off, Haldir charges into the Orc Captain. And the rest of the elves just sort of try and even up the fight so there's less 2-on-1s. The banner and the spear support stay behind as they weren't involved in the combat, but that's fine by me. Into the regular fights, and we have a spear with a 2-hander and a sword with a 2-hander against a Warg who hasn't charged. So set us a bar on 1 dice, Warg.
Alrighty, look for the 6.
A 1.
It's a 1.
We are 2-handing with both of these. We get 4 high, 3 high with a 2-hander. Needing 4s. Yeah.
Yeah, and so does the Warg stick around? He does.
Yes. Then we have another 2-on-1. One is a spear support this time, so we'll only 2-hand with one of them. We'll set a bar this time. The 2-hander gets a 6. You've got 4. The spear needs 5s to kill the rider. Yes. Yep. And the 2-hander needs 4s to kill the mount. Yeah, so they both die. We didn't even up the fights too much, so we still have 1 elf versus 2 Warg Riders. He did charge them, however, so there's no charge bonus. I will shield. Set your bar 4 high. Not great, but not too bad.
The 2 Warg Riders.
Double 6. Loves it.
They are hungry. We're looking for 5s here.
Ooh, another 6.
Nice.
On to the next fight, we have a captain and a wood elf versus 1 Warg. We won't 2-hand. Try not to be cocky. Set us a bar, why don't you? 5 high, it's not bad. We'll roll these all together because the captain's out of might. Oh, only a 4. Okay, disastrous.
Because we'd rather get rid of a model than hypothetically wound the captain, we're going to try to kill the Pajama Elf. It's still 4s, but it's more likely. Hey, and we done it. We killed him.
One more 1-on-1. The elf won't 2-hand and will strike normally. Okay. It's 6, yeah, would have won anyway. 5s to try and kill the rider. Yes. Does the Warg run?
No.
Last combat in this big sort of fray, we have Haldir, a sword and a spear against the Orc Captain. We'll start with Haldir. He's not 2-handing. We get a 5 high. The sword will 2-hand. We get a 6. There we are. Do win it. We're going to try and strike the captain, just get rid of those multi-wound models. The spear is wounding on 6s, as the captain is. Defense 6. Okay, that's 1 wound. So 1 wound goes through. The sword, 2-hander, is wounding on 5s. Nope. And then Haldir has 2 attacks, also wounding on 5s. 1 more wound. Okay, so
we want our fate point this one.
Yes. Ooh. Okay, so he survives.
Skin of our teeth.
1 wound, no fate. Lastly, we have the sort of side combat. 3 elves. We have a 2-on-2 with a spear support and a 1-on-1. We'll start with the 1-on-1. The elf won't 2-hand. Set your bar of a 3. Not great.
Come on, boy.
Yes. Yeah, big 6. Okay.
So the dog needs 5s to kill the elf. Ooh, no, almost.
Close. Then we have a 2-on-2. I won't 2-hand, so I'll just roll 2 dice to set your bar. Only a 4 high again.
4 high. Oh, come on, a 5 or a 6. Ooh. No, damn it. Goes to the elves.
And it's 5s or 5s, so we will just roll both of these at the same time. That is 1 wound. We'll put it on a rider and see if the Warg runs.
Okay, let's take a check.
Oh, yes. They're loving these. Love it. And that is the end of the turn. A pretty good turn. The elves managed to do a bunch of killing, but thanks to the Warg sticking around, they love those courage checks. We've only actually killed outright 4 models. We've dismounted 4 more, or killed 4 riders and 4 Wargs stuck around. But we've lost 7 elves. We're approaching our break point. So we're quite strung out as well. We only have a single point of might on the table left. So huge priority. Elves get only a 2. And evil, a 2 as well. Elves had it last time, so it is evil priority. I presume you're going to keep it.
We will keep it.
Yeah, okay. Start of the turn, we've decided not to call a heroic move on Haldir. It's our last point of might, and we want to save it for something else, who knows. Plus the range, it wouldn't have caught many elves, so we still would have been charged by a bunch of Warg Riders. So, on to evil move.
For the evil movement, in the beautiful dream that our whole army isn't going to run away once we've broken, we're spreading out our models to try and just contest objectives. and advance on this last objective over here. We've got two, well, the captain and a Warg Rider, and then on the other side, a Warg and another captain advancing towards the objective. Then in the middle, we're still tagging these three elves who have so far refused to die, actually. It's been pretty effective. And then for the general combat, we've tagged up Haldir and his friends with just one dog, and got on as many combats as possible, leaving, we couldn't do anything about the banner really, so we've left that, and on the edge here, just surviving. It's going to be the Elven move now, which is only a few models, but it could be pretty critical.
Elven movement, not too much to do. There was one elf unengaged over here who's just peeled round to tag this Warg Rider here. The banner has run right into the middle to try and give as good an effect as possible for everyone. The warrior who was next to him has run and has tagged the captain because he has one wound left, no fate, dreaming perhaps that we could kill him before he can make his way. The elf over here, they both kind of bunched up. The wood elf backed up so he could be out of charge range because we have a couple of wargs charging in. He took a shot on half, -1 to hit the warg over here. 6 to wound, and we killed it, so that's great. On to the combats.
Start of the combat phase. Because of the Wolves of Isengard army list, it's not Legendary Legion anymore, Sharku gets to call a free heroic combat each turn with his Leader of the Pack special rule. So we're going to do that, obviously.
Yeah, I've got 1 point of might left on Haldir, and I don't think it's worth counter-calling, so we'll go straight into the heroic combat.
With an unchallenged heroic combat from Sharku going forwards, we're going to start with that. He also has the Fury of the Pack special rule, helpfully called almost the exact same thing. It gives him an extra attack on the charge and increases his fight to a mighty 5. So we are tying with an elf who has elven weapons.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, you've got a lot more attacks. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, so Sharku's going to have 4 attacks on the charge. Plus 2 from the Rider and 1 from the Warg. We'll start with the Warg. That's a 2. The Riders, we've got a 6. Okay.
The elf is, of course, shielding. Can we get a 6? Oh, it's a 6 out of the tray. 6 again. Okay, goes through a roll-off.
Oh, this is very, very annoying.
Your priority. Let's see if your elven blade... You painted the elven blade. Does it win me the fight?
On a 1 or a 2, it is mine.
Yep. Oh, big 6. Elven blade wasn't necessary. Don't make any strikes, however, so everyone just backs away.
Following that abysmal failure, we are now on to the rest of the normal combats. We're going to start with the Elf Captain versus 1 throwing spear Warg Rider. I've got 2, you've got 2.
Yep.
Let's go. I've got a 4.
Big 4. Captain's not two-handing. Gets a 4 as well. Doesn't need the banner reroll. We'll strike the Rider, then the Warg, both needing 5s. That is a kill on the Rider. Does the Warg run?
Yes. On the edge of the combats, we've got now a set of 2-on-1s. 1 Warg Rider versus 2 Elves, twice.
Yep, and the Warg Rider charged, so 2 dice aside.
2 dice aside. We'll start with the Pajama Elf and the Armoured Elf.
Yep, I won't two-hand. I'll set your bar this time. A 3 high, that's it.
3 high. There's no banner in range.
Nope.
Oh, we got the 4.
High.
All
yours.
right. We will put, well, the first 2 attacks onto a Pajama Elf.
Yep. He's not dead yet.
He's not dead. We might as well do the second 2. He is dead.
Same again with 2 Spear Elves against the Warg Rider. You set the bar this time.
Okay, let's see. So 4 high.
And the other double 6. We didn't two-hand, so 5s. No, but he backs away.
Now we have the captain who only has 1 wound left. He was trying to get clear, but he's been caught by this spear elf.
Let's see if it's a good idea. 1 dice from me, 2 for you. I will not two-hand. 5 high.
It's a 5 high.
Good.
It could have been a good gamble. Let's see if we get the 6. Nope.
Oh, okay, captain backs away. Captain is defense 6, so need a mighty 6 here to kill.
Wow.
Okay, and an elf kills the captain.
And now we have another pair of multiple combats. We're taking the 1 Warg versus 2 Elves, and then the other Warg is going to fight 1 Elf.
Yep.
We'll start with the 2. So I've got 2 because I have charged, and you have 2 attacks as well.
Yep, set us a bar. I won't two-hand.
Okay. We got a 4 high.
4 high.
Not great.
2 Elves. Only a 3 high.
Ooh.
No banner, so you do win.
Now, we're strength 4, their defense 5 or 6. It's 5s on either of these, but we do have to roll them separate. So the first 2 attacks for the trapping, nothing. And then the second 2 attacks. Great, it's the same as before. We'll kill the spear, please. Now we have the one-on-one. Do you want to see if you get a 6?
Let's see what we roll. We're not two-handing. Oh, up the tray is a 6. It's a 6 again.
Nope.
Wouldn't have helped. 5s to kill the rider. No, not on a 1.
Finally, we have the combat that everyone has been waiting for. One good boy versus a bunch of nasty elves.
Yeah, Haldir and 2 elves. We will two-hand on all of these.
You're going to two-hand on everything? Let's see what I get. It's a 6.
It's a big 6. Okay, it could be my undoing. Haldir's 2 dice. Okay, we get a 6.
He gets a 6.
Maybe not. The 2 elves needing 4s. Yeah, that's 1, and Haldir needed 3s. 1 more, so the dog is dead twice over. Another really bloody and unexpected turn.
That was pretty inconclusive. I think we've got 9 dead elves.
Yep.
When we've got 8 properly dead Warg Riders.
Yeah, but 2 more dismounted, or we killed the mounts, but the Wargs are still around, so they don't count yet. Another big priority. Elves, 4. Is it enough?
Oh.
It is. On a 2 for evil, we'll be keeping it. So on to the next turn.
With priority going to the good side, we're going to call a heroic move on Sharku. We really want those charge bonuses. He doesn't get many in this, but he still gets to get his charge bonus, and he needs that fight 5. Otherwise, he's probably just going to die.
Yeah, we have 1 point of might left still on Haldir. Decided not to because really it's a 50-50 that I might lose it and not get to use it at all. So some of the elves will still get to move and we'll get to charge some of the wargs. So on to Sharku's heroic.
And with our heroic move, pretty sure there's far too many elves in this area. So Sharku and his dog-like friends have moved out and charged the elves which are over in this bit. Hopefully, there's not going to be too many reprisals, and it's on to the normal elf movement.
And the elf priority moves. Over here, we managed to tag into 2 2-on-1s. The elf who bravely killed the orc captain over here has run back and is just within range to spear support. We'll see how those go. Here, it's good play by the Wolves. It was tempting to have Haldir run around this tree towards the central objective, but then he's kind of just stuck not doing anything. He might get charged next turn. So we've just formed a little bit of a line, and everyone has made a bit of a combat here. This elf might die. And then over here we have 2 brave elves still holding out, with the wolves quite literally closing in. We'll see if they can survive. On to the remaining Isengard moves.
And for the evil move, we are doing a little switcheroo with one of the dogs and one of the riders. They're coming back into the middle. The captain and the javelin throwing rider over here are moving in on that top objective. Maybe they'll be able to take it. Who knows? And then 1 extra warg in the middle just got in on the Sharku heroic combat. That definitely is going to work this time. And we're on to the shooting.
Shooting, not much, but dramatic. The wood elf shot at this rider, hit the warg, but failed to kill. In return...
the warg threw a javelin back at the wood elf. It did hit, but it even on a 6, but then it impacted against the armoured elf in front and didn't wound him. If it had gone through, though, that elf would have been dead.
Yeah, sadly.
And into the combat phase with our leader of the pack special rule, Sharku, or Baku, has called a heroic combat, and in response...
Yeah, I think this is where we use our last might point. Haldir is going to call a heroic combat because there are 3 models in base with that 1 Warg Rider. If we can kill it, we can get a few models further up the board towards the central objective and maybe even out some of those fights. And really, we're both really close to being broken and we need to get some kills this turn. And with both of us having called a heroic combat, we roll off to see who goes first. It goes to good. With Haldir's heroic combat going off first, we have Haldir, 2 elves and the elf captain against a poor warg who didn't charge. Why don't you set the bar so we have to beat?
Yep.
Okay,
it's a 5.
It's quite good. I did say both of the warriors will two-hand, the captains won't. So the warriors get a double 1. Can't get any worse than that. The captain does get a 5, and Haldir, oh, okay, almost lost it. We two-handed with the captain. That would have lost it for us. The warriors need 4s to wound. Yeah, we get it on a 4. And following on, the 4 elves who are in that combat have just distributed themselves, trying to even up all the fights. Possibly crucially, Sharku is now only fighting an elf in a one-on-one. So let's go on to his heroic combat.
So Sharku, having charged, has got his 4 attacks versus how many you going to shield?
Yes, the elf is going to shield. I'll set you a bar. Let's see what you can get. Okay.
Oh, for God's sake. All right, so I need a 6.
Yep. You get it twice.
I get 2. It is your priority.
Is it my priority? Okay. Let's see if we can win one of these for you. Oh, out the tray, it was a 2. It's a 2 again. So
yes. Okay, well that was skin of our teeth. Sharku's got 8 attacks, and we are looking for 5s here.
We need a single 5.
So let's see if we can do this. Yep, you're dead. And taking a big risk, Sharku has slipped through the stone circle and looped back round and then charged into Haldir the elf. We are only fight 5 to Haldir's fight 6, but we're hoping with 6 attacks we might be able to win this combat. Let's go on to the normal combats.
Over to the other side of the board, we have 2 2-on-1s with the elves who've charged wargs. We're going to two-hand and risk it. We'll see what we can do. First one, a sword and a spear versus a Warg Rider. Set us a bar with your 1 attack, why don't you?
Okay, yeah. Go for a 6. Nope.
It's the opposite.
I should not have said that.
We got the 6 anyway, so the Warg backs away, and it is 4s for both. Yeah, we get the Rider, we don't get the Warg. Does the Warg run?
Come on, boy. Yep,
Fortunately.
he runs away.
The next fight we have 2 elves, 1 is spear supporting, so 1 will two-hand, 1 will strike normally. I'll set you a bar. The spear gets a 6. Would have got a 6 as well.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah. The two-hander on the Rider for 4s, yep, and the spear on the Warg for 5s, no. So does the Warg run? Yes. Back into the middle, we have a couple more fights before Sharku. We have a captain and 2 elves on a Warg that has charged, so why don't you set us a bar?
Okay, we've got 2.
3
so
high.
3 high.
We did say we were two-handing with everything, so could still go wrong, but we do get the 6. Almost went wrong.
I believe I am trapped.
We'll roll 1 set of strikes first, needing 4s. Yeah, we get the Warg and the Rider.
Okay, with that devastating loss, we're on to another slightly outnumbered Warg. We still get the charge bonus with our 2 attacks. You roll. Let's see if you get a 6.
We're not two-handing this time.
You get a 6.
Oh, jeez. Hot dice.
I got a 6, but it doesn't matter.
Needing 5s either way. Oh, that's the Rider dead. And the Warg? No. Does the Warg stick around?
He does not. Now we are on to the big combat. There's 2 generals in this. Someone could go home with a general kill. Sharku and the Rider both charged.
Yep.
I'll start off with the rolling. Let's see how we do, because you keep rolling 6s. So 2 attacks from the Warg Rider. Oh, we get a 6. Okay.
All that's needed. Okay. Haldir obviously is not two-handing.
Yeah.
We get a 6. We're still in the game. We do not. We get a 5.
And you're out of
banner range, out of might. So Haldir backs away and loses the combat.
All right. This is could be pretty consequential. Haldir's got 1 fate and 2 wounds. We're going to start with the Warg Rider, who's going to get 4 attacks on the knocked prone Haldir. We are looking for 5s, though. We get 1.
Okay, I'm going to let that go through to save the fate. So Haldir's down to 1 wound.
Yep. And then Sharku has got 8. We'll roll these in pairs of 4s, just for your fate roll.
Okay. Okay. He's dead, no matter what.
He is
takes
dead.
2 more wounds. Why don't we roll the other 4? How many times over does he die? Oh,
that was it.
Okay, so he
literally the perfect amount to kill him.
Would he have saved it on his fate? No.
No.
So he takes 2 wounds and dies. Sadly, Haldir does die on the way to Helms Deep, but his special rule, 1 final blow, we do get to make a strength 4 hit against every enemy model in combat. So we get to strike both the enemy models. It's a strength 4, defense 5 across the board, so 5s. We'll do the Warg Rider first. No. Can we put a wound on the enemy general? No, double 3. So he dies, sadly. And with Haldir dying, it's pretty huge. That is a general kill, but the elves have taken 11 casualties. We are 1 away from breaking, needing 12. However, The Wolves.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have taken 13 casualties. With that heroic combat from Haldir, his last sort of act broke the Warg Riders.
Yeah.
So we will start taking break checks, which, spoiler alert, I think we might fail some of.
Yeah, it's not where you want to be. So another fairly key priority, we'll go straight into it. 5 for good.
And it's a 3 for evil.
I think we'll keep it unsurprisingly.
Okay, with the elves winning priority and the wolves being broken, we're going to spend our last point of might on a heroic move on Sharku. This could backfire. I might just run away, but we want to get out of the middle and see if we can just hold on to what we've got. He's going to stand fast. He's got courage 6. Okay, it's a double 6. He's happy, so he and that Warg Rider are getting out of there.
Elves' regular moves, with Sharku having escaped our clutches. The captain has led these elves just into a little tiny battle line. We're going to jump on that central objective. Over this side, having cleared the board around this tree, finally, the elves move just 2 models onto that objective and 2 more peel off to either head up to the hill or to the centre to try and reinforce their brethren. And the 2 elves on the hill, standing still, we have 2 wargs, one of which is a captain with full might, ready to charge. We're going to hope maybe they fail their courage checks.
Okay, with Sharku having heroic and successfully stand fast, a stand fast is measured from the activation of the next unit. If they're within 6 and have line of sight, then they also pass their courage check. So this warg is within the stand fast bubble and isn't checking and hasn't run away. Now we have the spear and the warg here. We'll start with the warg. Unfortunately, they've run. And the spear is good. And the spear thrower is going to claim this objective, hopefully giving us the edge. And in the far corner, the captain, who still has 2 whole points of might, and his friend here, he's going to check and call a stand fast, hopefully. Orc captains have a courage of 7, which is really great. We've got to spend 1 point of will and 1 point of might to stay in the game, which we will do. And the captain and his compatriot end the charge here. We've tagged both of those elven models.
No shooting from either side. We're straight into the combat phase. No heroics, as there's only 1 point of might left on the table. We have a Warg Rider and a captain against 2 elves. We'll go with the armoured elf versus a Warg Rider first. So your 2 attacks, you set the bar.
Alrighty.
I won't be two-handing, obviously.
Oh, we get a 6.
Can we match it? We cannot on a 2, so he is pushed back.
Okay, now we need some 5s. Come on. Oh,
Go.
We get 1. He's out of there.
And then 1 plucky wood elf against the Orc captain. Single dice. We'll set the bar. No two-handing. Big 6. There we go. Yeah, the Orc captain was a 4 high. It'd be 6s to wound the captain, so what the hell, let's strike the warg. That is a wound on the warg. Throne Rider, he's fine, rises from the ashes. And quick note, we didn't actually have an Orc captain model, I forgot to bring a box. So that captain's turned into an Orc archer, but he's an archer captain, don't worry, for game purposes it's the same. Another really fun turn. Wild. We've got the elves are now ticked into broken with that 1 armoured elf dying over here. So we'll both be taking break checks into the next turn.
Now, on to the next turn. The riders are still hanging in there. They are 1 model away from being quartered, but both sides are now broken. So maybe some elves will run away.
Ooh,
Seems unlikely,
we'll
but
see. Crazy.
Priorities. Goes 2.
Good. Get a 5.
5.
I think we're going to let you have it for once.
Oh, yeah, of course you will.
And let you do some break checks.
We're in the end game here. We've basically just got to see how many models can stay around and if we can drag this into either a draw or maybe a victory.
Who knows?
Ooh.
It's all about these objectives.
We're going to start with the captain in the corner. He's going to make his courage check. He's got 1 point of might to maybe help.
Need a 7+.
He gets the 7.
He gets a 7.
So he's going to call a stand fast. And just because the Warg Rider that's with him is going to charge into the captain's combat and throw a spear. He needs a 6 to hit, so...
Oh, that Drake's getting exciting.
He needs a 6 to hit. It's a 2. It's a miss. Okay, so that charge goes off. Then we've got some more courage checks to take. We'll start with the rider who's on his lonesome over here. We need an 8. Oh,
it's a 6 plus.
It's a 6 plus a 5. He loves it. He's good. Okay, because I want this game to end, I need someone to run away. So I'm going to test for the Warg and possibly the rider before Sharku. So, does the Warg stay? Yes, the Warg stays. Does the rider stay? No, thankfully, the rider runs away. Does Sharku stay? Yes, that's the result we want.
Elf movement. We actually lost 2 elves to break checks, both in this central group, but the 4 with the captain have just moved up onto that central objective. 2 over here are holding this objective. 2 that go into the middle have diverted, and they're going to try desperately to run for this objective over here. They probably won't make it in time. And that is it. There's no shooting. The 1 wood elf is in combat with a Warg Rider and an Orc captain holding the objective. If somehow the elf can kill one, we might be in business, but we'll have to see.
With me desperately trying to fail a courage check, one of our orcs has run and caused us to quarter, so the game will end this turn. So we've got 1 fight up and there's some points up for grabs. We've got a lone wood elf versus the captain and a charging Warg Rider.
Yeah, 4 dice versus 1. Are we going to 2-hand? Yes. Fortune favours the bold.
Shall I go or should
You set
go?
a bar, and then when I roll a 6, it's going to be even more exciting.
Okay, well the captain's got 1 point of might.
Yep.
And the rider charged. So the rider's attacks. Okay, we're a 5 high, and then the captain.
Ooh,
okay,
5 high.
We'll wait and see what you roll.
6 or nothing. Either way, 2-hand or not. If we had not 2-handed, we would be tying, but then you would have spent a point of might and won the combat. So it makes no difference either way.
Okay, so let's do the Warg Rider first. So we've got 4 attacks. Dead. Unfortunately, you're out of there.
3 times over. And with that combat, that is the end of the game, as the Wolves have been quartered. They have 5 models left on the table to the Elves' 10 or so. Both sides hold a decent amount of objectives, so we're going to tot them up and come back to you with the post-game.
And there we go. That's the end of the game. It was a bit of a, well, I don't know. It was quite nail-biting, I would say.
It wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
I kind of expected like lots of shooting and elf support, but that was for almost from like turn 1, just a giant messy brawl.
Dogpile.
Dogpile. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. You've got 5 models left. You had 5 models left on the end of the game, or 4, something like that. You were quartered. I think the elves had 10 or so, 10 or 11.
Yeah, I mean,
they were broken.
Well, you were broken, but not badly broken at the end.
No, not really close to quartered. Yeah, really interesting game. Really not basic, but what I think of as the most common standard scenario. 5 objectives, not many secondaries, just general and broken.
I mean, I think it was a good example. I mean, the elf force is really quite generic. Like,
yeah,
you know, at 400 points, you can't really have, you know, Galadriel or Celeborn are both 125 points.
Yeah.
So you don't get many toys to play with.
The mirror's a lot more if you want.
Yeah.
I think you'd be crazy to put it in a 400-point game.
But I think it shows how Middle-earth, even at 400 points, with a very kind of bare-bones-ish force.
Both sides, yeah.
Both sides were relatively simple and plain, but like it was really fun. There was lots of stuff going on.
That was awesome. Really good. We'll go into the scores. So, as you were saying, you wanted to be broken or quartered to end the game because you were sitting on 3 objectives. So the one back here, over in the middle, and then you managed to wrestle the one by the statue off the elves at the end of the game.
Yeah.
The elves held the one by the tree where the giant fight. Most of the game was over that objective there, and the central objective because the wolves pulled back and kind of handed it to the elves. But that does mean 3 objectives went to the wargs, the wolves, 2 to the elves. So that is 9-6 to the wargs. General, you killed Haldir quite successfully, although only just, actually, I think, from memory.
I mean, it was close. Yeah, I rolled the exact thing I needed to take him.
And he failed his fate anyway. But if
you-
one less, he might have survived. Yeah. So 2 points for general, none for
Return
the
general.
elves because we didn't manage to wound Sharku. He was
Yeah.
unscathed. And then we both got 1 point for breaking each other. You just got there.
That was the close one. I mean, I think
Yeah.
What might have happened was I got the one kill I needed to break you, basically.
Yeah, and then
If
a couple
I
ran away.
hadn't have got that,
Yeah.
you would have got 3 points, and then we would have been 9-9, and it would have the general thing possibly would have
Yeah.
taken it.
Yeah.
Although if I hadn't killed that one, you might have got more points for the objective. It was very, very close. It literally basically swung on that last combat, made it go
Where
from
we both had a heroic, you mean?
yeah, well, I mean, there was two, like that heroic.
Oh,
that
yes.
was really key. Haldir, you probably would have been broken at that point,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Or at least there would have been more flexibility. It was really a good choice of you were holding on to that 1 point of might for like 3 turns.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point to spend it.
I think so.
And then like that final combat when, basically it was like the game was done.
Yes.
But one last combat,
Yeah.
one last kind of suddenly, the objective's in play again. Yeah.
We probably should say, for clarification, so the totals were a 7 for the elves, but 12 for the wargs. Wargs, Wolves of Isengard. I keep forgetting the name.
Woof woof.
It was a successful dog pile, so the wargs did win. Which, if you look at the final kind of shots of the game,
It doesn't look like a victory, does it?
No. But we had something similar a long while back with the Rohan Dunland. I think Rohan got taken down to about 6 models, but had board control.
Had the board control.
I think it's that movement, the being mounted affords you.
Well, and also
be able to rush forward for that third objective and tip it. Because if you hadn't got that, it would have been another 3 points for the elves and a less 3 points for you, which would have taken us to 10-9. So it would have been a 1 point victory for the elves.
And I mean, at several points, I mean, Sharku basically didn't really get that involved in combat, but he did some good kind of just moving the fight around.
Yeah, he was basically sort of a Pied Piper for you, just dragging your army around through heroic moves. He did that first giant, which was really scary, where you got half of the elf army, you charged most of your army into it and did a decent amount of damage. You were killing
some good kills. I mean, I think we got 4 or 5 kills on that first turn.
Yeah.
But then your pulling back into the wood was really good. Very, very wood elven. And just neutered the kind of the charge bonus.
Well, as a Rohan player, I do know that if you're not getting the charge bonus, you're not really competing.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably slightly less pronounced for the Warg Riders because at least you are still strength 4.
Yes.
Whereas with Rohan, it's like if you don't get your charge bonus, you're like, oh god, everything that's good is gone.
Yeah.
Because you get the fight bonus, the strength bonus,
in most lists,
the charge bonus.
Yes. It's pretty huge. But again, it just shows that it's sort of you lost 3/4 of your army, but you managed to hold 3 objective points.
The models that I didn't want to run away. Fortunately, did not run away. I
think we were saying the elves won most of the dice-offs for heroic combat, for heroic moves.
They won quite a lot of combats as well.
The drawn combats, when it was Sharku, the elves won 2, I think, out of 3. It was only right at the end that Sharku finally managed to win one on a 2. But so the elves' dice were with them. They were doing a really good job of sort of just staying in the fight, reconsolidating, re-engaging. And if this was a mission where it was pretty much any other mission where it wasn't objectives, it was kills or whatever. Although I guess you got the general and
I mean,
but maybe we would have kept in the game a little bit longer and then killed Sharku or made him run away, and then that would have counted. But the fact that it was quartered and then domination. I think was not the perfect matchup, but you played it very well to then seize the control of the board when you knew you were almost exactly thing, and we ended up in a slightly farcical situation where you wanted your models to run away, but your courage checks were really good. Your courage checks were quite
surprisingly effective. I mean, especially early on, I think some of the first 4 kills, like the wargs, didn't run away, which the Wolves of Isengard have like a weird kind of survivability.
Yes.
They're not that tough, but sort of it can be a little funny to break them, and then it's slightly confusing to keep track of. But
we were talking sort of mid game. We were just in between a couple of takes, and I was thinking, I'm sure I've killed quite a few, and it's because I'd killed 8 models, riders, but only killed the riders, and the 4 wargs stayed around. So actually, I was only you're only 4 models towards your breakpoint because you have to kill the rider and the warg. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
To count towards
Or
one model.
a rider and a ridden warg.
And a ridden warg to count towards the breakpoint. So actually, I was only 4, and you'd killed 6, 7, 8 elves at that point.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh gosh, you're actually killing a lot more elves than I am. And it should be the other way around because the elves are much more elite, heavy armored, heavier, better fight value. Have the 2-handed weapons. I got to say, I didn't commit to the 2-handed weapon. I was very wishy-washy about the 2-handed weapon.
It's a mistake.
You should just commit. When I did commit, it did. Well, no, it did get a couple of elves killed.
I think it only got 1 killed.
Maybe. And it did pay off a couple of times.
I think it's a mistake.
I think
in the old rules, I think definitely it was very dicey.
Hedge your bets, yeah.
But in the new ones, especially because if you roll the 6 and you're not fighting other elves, you're like, oh well, I've won now.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's very strong.
It's very strong. Yeah.
The +1 to wound. There are a few times when you win it and you're like, oh, I didn't need that.
Yeah.
But then there's quite a few times when you're like, if I had, I would have done that. So.
Yeah, I found that really fun. It was the first time ever playing elves. Of any
first
kind,
time with
really.
lots of 2-handers as well.
First time with lots of 2-handers. For me, first time playing Lothlorien for sure, but first time playing elves. You, as we mentioned in the intro, these are both your armies, and you've played both of them a relative amount. You've taken both to an event and played a decent amount. Most recently, we both, and friend of the channel Thomas, went to Scouring of Cheshire, and you took an 800-point Lothlorien list, so half this again.
I mean,
not in models, but in points. Actually, almost in models. You had 40-something models, right?
Yeah, 41.
Sorry, actually double this again. Double this again. How did you find facing elves after having played them for quite, a big event?
Well, I mean, obviously at 800 points, I'd taken both Celeborn and Galadriel.
And the mirror.
And the mirror.
Yeah.
So the magic is super oppressive. It is what it is. I think they're an interesting list, but yeah, it can be unfun. Yeah. So I was pleased not to have any magic.
Yeah.
But I have a real respect for the armoured elves. They're like other sort of shield wally armies, but you're fight 5, and it just makes so much difference.
Yeah.
Because with other stuff, you're kind of relying on the fact that you've got tough armour. But with the elves, you're kind of up front, and you're like, no, I can win the fight. It's not just about being tough.
Yeah. I've got the fight 5. I just need to roll that 6.
Yeah, you just need to roll the 6.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
They are tough nuts to crack.
What about the wargs, the wolves? How did you find them at 400 points?
In
this edition, you've not played them. I've
not played them in this edition. At 400 points, I think they are pretty optimum.
I think they're pretty good. Sharku's decent. He's got a bit of a buff this edition.
He's got a bit of a buff. 3 attacks on the charge. Going to fight 5.
I did like that you drew the standard warrior of the elf.
I mean, the last time I took them, the highest fight model in your army is Sharku, and he's fight 4, and he doesn't have strike. And that's just a real bummer. But you can have lots of wolves running around, and there's cavalry. They're pretty decent.
Strength 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that they're quite consistent. If you can get the two attacks and you've got the strength 4 and you're rolling four dice.
I found that as Rohan, I've played some really tough, like Last Alliance, and even a regular Rohan warrior. If they're on the charge, they go up to 4. The 2 attacks become 4 attacks. You can do a lot of good work really quickly. But if you're not getting the charge bonus, you're not doing anything really. But you have the slight redundancy of that Warg could stick around and you'll stay away from being broken. Yeah,
that's also really good. I mean, I think I would also be interested in trialing having more unridden wargs. Because for an 8-point model, they're not elves, but they have a lot of utility. It's that 10-inch move.
10-inch move, bigger, 40mm base to lock up a couple of models at a time. Strength 4 base, not bad.
Strength 4 base.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, we were talking as well. I really quite like these lower point games. It's great to roll out an 800,000 point game and have a giant sort of 2 battle lines clashing. But actually, in the lower points games, every model can be really significant. Like in an 800 point game, if you had 800 points of Warg Riders, a single Warg is not really
throwing them away.
They're not really going to be consequential. Whereas even at this points level, a single Warg Rider surviving and doing something, or even a single Warg holding the objective at the back, was really good. A single elf, bowman or something, a single wood elf was really good. So I think I'd be really up for doing a few more lower points as well as higher points. You guys tell us what you think. Do you want to see just giant clashes? We can do a bit of everything, or variety. What's best? So yeah, how did you feel overall the game went?
I mean, I think it was really interesting. I think the initial game plan, obviously we'd collaborated on our deployments.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the intro.
I think we were, I would say we were reasonably fair in kind of terms of the deployment, in the sense of, like, I think it was the right move for the elves to kind of castle, but they needed to split themselves. Yeah. Because otherwise they'd just get surrounded.
If they'd all deployed right back in the far corner, they would have been much more survivable. They would have surrendered 4 out of the 5 objectives.
Yeah, I mean, the main problem with Lothlorien is you've got very limited heroic march or like movement options. So I guess you would have had the captain of heroic march, but you need the might for other things.
Even then, again, the 40 mil bases, sometimes you just left 2 or 3 wargs in place as blockers, and you have no choice but to engage them, because it's a 40 mil base plus an inch control zone. Yeah, and it's either a really long way round, or you have to engage them and fight them, and then you're spending might to combat maybe.
Yeah, so I think that was probably the right call.
I think so.
I think the Warg charge, I mean, the idea was basically, can we crush one half?
Yes.
The answer was no, you can't. There wasn't enough time.
It was an Isengard Schlieffen plan.
Yes, Isengard Schlieffen plan, going through Elven Belgium. Yeah. But it didn't work. We came close, but the pulling back into the wood, that made a big difference. Just the tightening up of the Elven line. Yeah.
I think your decision to pull back and not, because I would have been really over eager to just be like, well, Sharku's over that side. Let's just start throwing him into Elves, doing a free heroic combats, doing all this fun stuff. But we saw twice he just drew with a elf warrior, and then you're stuck.
And I was looking, and it was very tight combat, like space. Yeah. So even if Sharku had won a combat, often he might not even have got a follow-up charge. He would have just killed an elf, and then he'd be like, okay, I guess I'll move. Yeah. I mean, it's powerful. I mean, a free heroic combat is good, especially on a model that could go up to 4 attacks. Yeah.
I think it would have been even more decisive, perhaps, if... I don't think it was decisive. I think it was very... like you say, the Wolves' first plan failed. They kind of bounced off the elf, but then they managed to consolidate their second plan really well, and the elves just didn't have the movement. They were playing catch-up.
You couldn't contest enough objectives.
And then the captain, by the end of the game, had travelled from, that tree to the middle of the board about...
Yeah, he's moved like 9-10 inches.
Yeah, not very far at all. So it would have been really interesting, or it would have been perhaps decisive if we'd played Maelstrom, and the elves were really broken up.
That would have been different.
And because you had 3 warbands to the elves too.
Yeah.
It might have been a lot more significant that you could have brought on, they have a bonus to their Maelstrom, you can bring in models and all that sort of thing. So maybe it would have been much more decisive, in which that sense it's nice that we played domination.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
a really close game.
It's definitely the case with Lothlorien. You don't move very much generally.
Well, you're just moving the standard speed.
Yeah, but every single combat was on your half of the board.
That's very true. Yeah, we only reached the halfway point on the last 2 turns of the game.
Yeah, and we had combats which were like 6 inches away from your table edge.
Yeah, that's very true.
It was just... Yeah, as Lothlorien, you're kind of designed, you're shooting often, so you want people to come towards you. Yeah. And also you can't afford to kind of spread out, because you need to kind of cluster to get that shield wall effect.
Yeah, well, and you have spears and you have pretty good shooting, so you want to keep all those in play. Yeah, I think it was an excellent game. Hopefully you guys at home enjoyed as well. We have been releasing a whole bunch of videos recently, so Quest of the Ringbearer is ploughing along. I'm not going to say where we got to, because in my head I think I know what's correct, but in real life the release order is probably incorrect. But hopefully we're charging ahead. You guys have been enjoying that. We've been doing a few talky videos, I call them, but discussion videos, army list breakdowns, event recaps, and we've started uploading them to Spotify. I guess you could call it a podcast. We're not launching it as a separate thing. But if you do want to just listen along to a few of the discussion videos, they are now on Spotify. You can find the link in the description. So you guys can, you just listen along rather than watch a YouTube video. What else are we doing? Lots of work behind the scenes.
Yeah, we've both been kind of talking about looking at the extent of our collection and what we need to paint to have some more actual armies.
Yeah, we have lots of half.
We've got quite a lot of sort of half-done projects.
Yeah.
But actually, like we were just talking about, if we double down on Isengard and just paint up a few more models, we can field like 6 different lists.
Yeah. Get Saruman painted.
Blah, like cool. And then we can do that. And so we've been looking at kind of that sort of thing. We are also now looking at more terrain for the ring bearer.
Yeah, we have reached a decent threshold, and
we've pushed our sort of green boards as far as we can go, and we're going. Well, we're looking towards the mines of Moria,
and things are getting a bit more grey and desaturated.
Darkness.
So that'll be fun. So a lot of behind the scenes hobby. We'll try and keep everyone up to date on that. Yeah, lots to do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have some previews and things on the Discord. Perhaps we'll have a few hobby bits.
We do have a Discord now, so link is also in the description. Free to join. Just jump in, say hello. It's a really lovely little community, and I have been posting little sneak peeks and behind the scenes, so you can have a look at what's going on. We even have some votes. So for content, what if we're not quite sure or we're not bothered about which one to do first? We have some votes where you can decide and help the direction of the channel almost. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Please do follow us on all our social medias. There'll be things along the bottom here. You can see what we're up to. Do you want to lead us out? Any final thoughts?
If you haven't subscribed, subscribe.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Well done. One of us remembers. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.